these forces that are there in society that sell them ideas of happiness are the things which will bring them happiness. So, is happiness in your looks, the way you look? Lots of people, young people, spend so much time trying to look different. And they believe, if I look like a celebrity, I'm going to be really happy, I'm going to be popular. You see? So happiness and popularity. One of the things is that I put there a few celebrities, but I'm going to point to just one of them at the present time. Top right-hand corner. Do you know her? Jennifer Lopez. So, Jennifer Lopez looks good. She's been rated by People magazine as one of the most beautiful women in the world. She's got lots of money. She's extremely popular. She's got millions of fans. But how many times has J.Lo been married? Anybody knows?
I can't read the
She's been married 4 times. 4 times. Now, why is she marrying all the time? What's she looking for? Happiness. And where is she looking for that happiness? Relationships. Can you see that the sorts of relationships we engage in are directly related to our happiness in the end? Throughout our lives, we've been forming relationships. Even when we were kids, the friends we hung out with. It's about having a relationship which will bring us happiness. It is the objective of relationship. We enter into that relationship with the hope that it will deliver happiness. And that's why it's so important that we get it right. Because here you have all the celebrities you thought can bring you happiness, and if they have everything, it seems they have everything, they still are not happy. This is J.Lo married and married and married with the hope that she will, this time, it will bring her happiness. So, how do we achieve happiness? What are those foundational elements of a happy relationship? And so, what this presentation does is it likens a relationship to a house you're building. And you take your time to build the house. You don't build it very quickly. And you lay the foundations of that house. So if I can go across there, I'm going to draw something very quickly. Sorry?
You have to use the microphone.
Oh. Maybe this one. Okay. So, thank you. So I've got 2 houses I'm drawing here. This is house A. This is another house. I think you can see why I didn't become an artist. Yeah, okay, and this is house B. Which of those houses is stronger, A or B? A. Why? Because it's got many more posts. So if you want a house that is very strong, you need to put down as many pillars under it as possible. So imagine a relationship you're building. What are some of those pillars? Can you give them to me? What are some of the things that will make you happy in that relationship?
Trust.
Trust. Trust, yes.
Loyalty.
Loyalty. Yes. Anything else? Respect. What else?
Love.
Love. Okay, what else? Sorry? Love. Unity. Okay, unity. Sorry, my chicken scratched on my thing. What else? Anything else?
Friendship.
Friendship, absolutely. I think that's what I have with my wife. We are best friends. So the more pillars you put under the house, the stronger it becomes. And whenever I've presented this talk to students, I've said to them, if you want to test the strength of a relationship, draw the house and see how many posts you can put under the house. And if all you can find is one post, ask yourself, is that a relationship for me? Because it isn't strong. Let's look at this relationship. This has one post, and that post is called sex. Okay? What happens if I take away that post, if I break it? It comes crashing down, and the people inside get hurt. If I break one of these posts, then the relationship gets fractured, it shakes, but there are other posts which are holding it up. Loyalty, respect, and so on. One of the posts that we sometimes put is humor, sense of humor, which a lot of relationships thrive on, and it's one of the things I value a lot in our marriage. If one day I become old and boring, and I'm not as funny as I used to be, that post has been broken. But I think my wife will still love me, and I hope she does. She will. But it's because that relationship is being held up by all the other posts. Trust, loyalty, respect, all of those things are holding the relationship. So this is why it's critical to have a relationship that has as many of those posts as possible. And if you get them right, then what you have is a happy relationship. So can you see those? Some of them you've already identified. Loyalty, honesty, trust, respect, communication, friendship, empathy, intimacy, romance. That's just some of them. Now, as I go through these slides, what I'd like you to do is to note if there are anything that you think may be missing or anything that needs to improve in some way. Take a critical look at what I'm saying and as I'm going through, and I will ensure that we have time to go through some of those and get some feedback from you, because that's how we will improve this presentation so that you take ownership for it, and it's not just mine or the Fleet team. We've discussed this before. So these are the foundational values of the relationship. And last but not least, love. And I'll come to love just now, because that's a really important one. What is love? Remember I asked this question yesterday? It's a big deal for kids. You're 13 and 14, your hormones are racing around your body, and you're thinking, I've fallen in love, first love. And you may make decisions based on the fact that you think, I'm going to be with this person for the rest of my life. And it may not be the correct decision for you. So recognizing what love is extremely important. There are different types of love. However, what remains common in all cases of true love is a decision to want the best for someone else. And Professor Stefan actually talked about that for a bit just now, wanting the best for someone else. It's more than a feeling or physical attraction. In establishing loving interpersonal relationships, its participants explore what is required to bring each other happiness. It's wanting the best for someone else. Key to this is, in order to give love, we have to love ourselves first. Now this, in English, you could say, I love, or I'm in love. The two are quite different. So, for me to love myself means I accept myself. I value myself for who I am. But if I say I'm in love with myself, it's completely different. If I'm in love with myself, I think too much of myself. I boast about myself. My ego is very big. And people don't like me because I'm in love with myself. So the two are quite distinct. It is important to love yourself. And then, from that process, you begin that process of loving yourself, and then loving others. Okay? And once we love ourselves, we can recognize that innate value in everybody around us for who they are. Value. Value of the human being. What's that? Can I ask you that? Are you valuable? Yes? Hands up if you think you're valuable. Good. Why? Why are you valuable? For those who put their hands up, why?
Because I'm unique.
Absolutely. Well done.
God created you.
God created you, yes, and only one of you, and that's the point, isn't it? Before I came along, I've always thought of myself as very valuable. Before I came along, there wasn't one of me. And when I leave this world, there never will be another me. I can't be replaced. Can you see how valuable I am? Ladies and gentlemen, kids these days, 13, 14, are searching for value. They're asking themselves, who am I? You know, do people love me? Am I worthy? Am I valuable? And it's important for this discussion to take place at that age. And to bring them that uniqueness, that message of uniqueness to them. So that they don't search for value, that they recognize that value that is within themselves. And those discussions need to be had at the high school level. I sometimes use a diamond example, and I ask, well, why are diamonds valuable? Because they're scarce. They're lovely, but they're also very scarce. But there's only one of me. I'm more priceless than a diamond. Okay? I'm extremely valuable. And that applies to every single person. And if they think that way, then everyone they meet as well, they will recognize the uniqueness and the value in everybody that they meet. And treat them with respect and love, be able to love. Who am I? So the book goes in, when we talk about values, well, not just the uniqueness, but understanding who we are as human beings. And again, Professor Stephan talked about the theology of the body. We had many discussions, Lucia knows and Pietro knows, we had many discussions about the theology of the body in our fleet sessions. And of course, has a physical dimension. We are our body, but not just our body. There are other dimensions. And that's a problem in this new age where we only ever think of ourselves as just the body, without these other elements. And if you divorce the body from all these other elements, then it influences who you are, how you think of yourself, and how you interact with society. So there's also a psychological dimension, that we are intelligent beings who experience emotions and feelings. There's a spiritual dimension, and that spiritual dimension is where we possess certain guiding principles or values which give meaning to our lives. And for those of us of faith, who have a faith, those guiding principles are laid down. And so we know what they are. And we try to live by those guiding principles. And it is important that if a young person recognizes those guiding principles, whether it's chastity or whatever it is, that they're respected and that we endorse that that's acceptable. That is fine for them to observe those guiding principles. Again, we come back to why it's ever so important that this happens in the classrooms before they even go to university and become adults. The social dimension, that we are social beings with the ability to establish bonds with others. It is this complex harmony of dimensions which enable us to receive and to give love. We talked about Eros just now, and this presentation goes into how the ancient Greeks defined love, introducing the concept of Eros, Philia, and Agape. From Aristotle, Eros being physical love, Philia being brotherly love as in what exists between friends, and Agape means unconditional love. which transcends and persists regardless of circumstances. And here you've got a diagram that shows physical love, love between friends, and love of the other. See the wedding rings there. And then it goes into a discussion about the love of friends, philia. Once we love ourselves, it is easier to establish friendship. Friendship occurs when a person chooses to love certain people because of their qualities or their characteristics. They can identify common interests and values. It results in a desire to come together in pursuit of common activities. It does not require physical attraction to be possible. It includes capability to forgive, and because of this nature, it endures for a long time. And then we move then to love between a couple, from eros to philia to agape. So you're attracted to the person, you become friends, and then you go to agape and conditional love. And sometimes people are in a marriage and they fight all the time. They don't get along with each other. They're not really friends. Because they have not gone this journey of becoming friends and then getting married. I think that needs to be the sort of bottom line of an enduring relationship. It needs to be an enduring friendship that goes throughout. And it doesn't mean you agree with each other all the time. At the end of those disagreements, which we all have, because relationships and marriage brings different people together. Me and my wife are very different. We have different views on many things. I mean, we agree in terms of the religious aspects of our lives. We agree completely, even though she's Catholic and I'm a Hindu. We absolutely agree on everything. But we disagree on some things. But I respect her for the fact that she has different views. And if I am ever thinking of debating anything, I ask her first, because I know she'll tell me the truth. And if the speech is bad, she'll tell me right away that she doesn't think it works. And so, it is that friendship which endures. The next step in the love of the other for myself, I'm happy with this person because I don't feel alone. I am proud to be desired. I'm happy to be chosen by this person. And then, sort of fleshing out the difference between love and infatuation. Along this journey, a lot of people get attracted, and again we go back to Professor Stefan when he was talking about the attraction, in your heart. The thing is that you will always meet people who are attractive, who are appealing. And it doesn't mean that you love them all, or that you're in love with them. It just means that that person is beautiful. It's one of God's creation that is absolutely beautiful. But it doesn't mean that you love that person. And this is really, really important. I think when we discussed this in the Fleet workshop, in French, the translation for infatuation is positive, that it's a positive thing. In English, in fact, infatuation has connotations of negativity, where you're simply drawn to that person, you lust after the person, you want to be with that person, and it doesn't mean that you have to love the person. And so, it's important, in terms of context, that young people understand that you can be drawn to other people. It doesn't mean that you're in love with that person, and that discussion needs to happen. In infatuation, one person is looking for his or her own benefit, and in love, you're seeking the goodness of the other person, bringing happiness to the other person. And then that, if you get that right, then that translates into a loving family, because you've been able to achieve love in terms of your relationship, and then you pass that on. Yesterday we talked about passing on these values to generations. And so you pass that on from generation to generation. And then, that then translates into the community. Society is affected. The more healthy relationships we have, the more healthy families we have, the more healthy societies we have. So this all flows together. And then the presentation looks at what are the challenges to those values that we have that make up great relationships? What are the challenges to what love is? Love is portrayed in the media in a very superficial way. There are certain forces, and chief among them is the media, which portrays love in a certain way. Love is represented in the media as something that is physical, that is unrelated to a person's values, often seen as synonymous with sexual attraction, does not have to occur within a stable long-term relationship, and is given freely and openly with no boundaries or limitations. If you're wondering about that wolf, it's a story in English where the pigs, 3 little pigs, they build 3 houses. Their mother sends them away to build their own little houses. One builds his house out of straw. The wolf comes and blows the house down. Then the second one builds the house on wooden little tree stems and so on. And the wolf comes and he blows the house down. So the 2 comes scuttling over to the third pig, who builds his house out of bricks. And the storms are strong. There's a wolf panting to blow the house down. And it is because this wolf has been able to establish a good, strong house, so that the forces of change, like the media, isn't able to blow your house down, because it's strong in the information age. And so the media brings all of this. Sex in the media is confusion between virtual and actual reality. Sex is seen as commonplace. Sex can be seen as a challenge. You boast about how many sexual encounters you've had. Teenagers are encouraged to have sex. Men and women are portrayed as sex objects. Their images of beautiful sculpted bodies. Advertising is conducted by sexual appeal. It's an age-old one. And there's a promotion of the idea that everything that sounds virtuous is boring or old-fashioned. That came through in the 1960s. You're outdated. This is the new age. Which then encourages young people to reject traditional relationships and to treat marriage and childbearing as separated from sexual intercourse. In general, the media highlights short-term and superficial relationships and de-emphasize respect for lifelong committed relationships. And then, I sort of alluded to this yesterday. Aside from the media is music. This comes stealthily through, and it influences young people. They sing along to the music, and then they don't recognize what it is they're singing. This here is Bruno Mars, who is an international superstar. Lots of kids follow him, millions of fans. What he's singing, he sings about, it's a beautiful night. I'm just thinking of something to do. You know, hey baby, I'm going to marry you. So it's not that he thought long and hard. It's not that he's got to know the person. He's just thinking of something to do. He's got nothing to do. And he's just going to marry this girl. But when they wake up, he continues in the song, tomorrow, then they just think, it's not for that. And they'll just go their separate ways. And that's okay. So, kids are hearing this and they think, yeah, Bruno thinks it's fine. So, why not? And so, it is bringing this message to children to say, think about the music that is coming to you. Sounds good, but are they transmitting good messages? Now, all that I'm saying here to you, and in terms of the challenges and so on, am I trying to tell you that sex is bad? Does sex make you happy? Hands up if you think that sex makes you happy. Don't be afraid, come on. And I'm with you. So I'm not here, you're all 13 and 14, and I'm not here to tell you that sex is bad. That is absolutely not the point here. Sex is good, but I'm going to go back to here. In this house, I'm going to draw a fireplace. And in the fireplace, I'm going to put Pietro to sit there. So that's Pietro. And he's warming his hands and feet in front of the fire. Is that a good fire? It's keeping him warm, isn't it? So, I've decided to take the fire out of the fireplace, and I'm going to put it in the middle of the living room. So that's Pietro there. Is that a good fire?
No.
Yeah, same fire. It's in the living room. It's going to burn his house and he's shouting. Sex is like that. Sex is like a fire. Within the fireplace of marriage, in a lifelong committed relationship, it can bring great happiness. Because there are boundaries to it. There are limits to it. Okay? For the procreative aspect that Professor Stefan talked about just now. Sex is the machinery for making babies. Why are we surprised when the machinery works? That's what it was designed to do. To work. And so, it's important to understand that and to recognize that there must be limits for it to bring happiness. And if you take away those boundaries, the same sex can become very destructive. And that is the point. And so, at this point, this slide is blank. And this is where I believe that NFP teachers need to contribute to this discussion in terms of saying what should we say at this point in terms of that beautiful aspect of sexual activity to bring children into the world. And so I've deliberately left this slide blank, and I understand that Pauline is going to be joining us, so I'm going to rely a bit on her and for anybody else who wants to join this project to fill that in, because I think we need to talk to children about this and to make those wise decisions going ahead at that very early age. And then we close here with, I'm not going to close this actual presentation, we're going to have discussion, closing this part with this slide here. 5 things to remember in terms of relationships and moving forward and trying to achieve happiness. 1. Your self-worth will never change. You'll always be valuable. Recognize the value you'll always have as a member of the human family. And don't go looking for it. You've always had it. Be your own person. Be guided by your own principles. The values that you have, the things which you hold dear to you. Let them guide you. Establish genuine friendships for people who respect you for those values, the things you believe in as a person which will make you happy. Don't compare yourself to other people. If you do, 2 things may happen. 1 is that you will probably think that people are better than you, or that you're better than other people. And in both cases, you'll be unhappy. Just be yourself. Be who you are. Remembering always, during this confusing time, that you are not alone. There are people who are there who you can talk to. The members of the Blue Project, who are probably in your schools right now, who you can talk to, and who may have advice for you. Talk to your older brothers and sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your mother and your father. Have those discussions and talk to your teachers. The best discussions I had was when I was listening to my teachers. They didn't just teach me maths and English. They taught me a lot more because I did it. Thank you. I'd like at this point to come over to you and to get your questions. I don't show that slide, I just put it there for you.
Parents as well. But I mean, even in schools, you have to give time for that relationship to start and to grow.
Yes.
before you can translate, because they wouldn't accept it. As you said, they say you're old, you're
Yes.
from another generation, and
It's countercultural.
so, the first step is working towards trust. Once they trust you, you go all the way with them.
Yes. And so I think you can keep that because we will. Yeah. I've been working with young people for 17 years, and as Yolanda mentioned yesterday, so there was about 60. I spoke over that time to about 60,000 students, not in Kurdistan, but in the United Kingdom, which is extremely countercultural in terms of the messages they get, and very skeptical students as well. The way to gain trust, I've found, is not to be confrontational about the messages you're bringing, but to understand that they that are sitting there are products of a generation who have grown up in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. They have grandmothers who are part of the sexual revolution. And so that's been fed to them. And if you accept that that child is a product of that time, and been influenced by that generation and generation, respect that that's who they are, and then gently provide counter alternatives, and not in a confrontational way, but engaging with them. Have that conversation that takes place. One of the things that we did with the Live Charity is that we had a non-confrontational policy. That when we went to schools, if students disagreed with us, we listened. And we understood where they were coming from. But we were firm that what we have in front of us is the way forward. And that's how we got into many, many schools. Because we didn't quarrel with kids. We were teaching there, and we understood the need for a debate.